There we are. We are live.
Hey.
Play that wonderful music. Hey, welcome to TechNow, the podcast that takes a look at all things ServiceNow tech. This is for system administrators and developers. I am Chuck Tomasi. Sitting just across the virtual table from me is Dave Slusher.
Hi, I'm Dave Slusher, developer evangelist with ServiceNow.
Don't worry, in about 2 months you'll have a new title. No, I'm just,
Exactly.
we don't know what the future holds, but it seems like everybody gets a new title sooner or later. And unfortunately, not joining us today is Craig Stepp. He is absent, missing in action, doing a lot of wonderful customer work that he always does, and was unable to join us for this show. But we'll be playing Craig as it goes. Really wanted to introduce our special subject matter expert guest, the man of the hour, Pradeep Sharma. Hi, Pradeep.
Hi, Chuck. How are you?
Doing great. Give a little introduction about yourself.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Pradeep Sharma. I've been working on ServiceNow platform for over 5 years. And throughout all those years, if you have happened to post any questions on community, you must have come across my response, more or less. And I'm here today to share my experiences and to talk about the best practices on ServiceNow community.
The man doesn't sleep. I swear, 24/7. We have a friendly competition going on, if you haven't noticed, in the last couple of months that Pradeep and I are working on. It's been very competitive and very fun, and I hope it's been very rewarding for everybody involved. You're closing in on 90,000 points as of this recording on the community, so congratulations to you. He's like that horse that's about 3 laps in front of all the other horses. So we're running.
I think what this proves to everyone is that gamification works.
Definitely.
Yes.
Bug. Let me flip over to the slides. We're going to do a few of the quick introductory slides, and then we're going to come back to a demo, and then we're going to open it up to this camera switching thing where we do a live discussion. So let me lock that to me. Ooh, I almost hit the stop broadcast button. That would have been bad. Do a screen share. We practiced this. Let's make sure the technology works. And theoretically, we're broadcasting the slideshow. So, as I mentioned, community etiquette is our theme today. How can you be more effective with the community? And we've called in Pradeep to do all the hard work. He's done a great job. We did your introduction, so we'll skip that slide. That's not really you on the slide. But we want to tell you and show you how you can be. I had to take out the thinking guy who became the thinking girl, and now we have Velociraptor. We're going to go with the internet memes for a while. How can you get more ServiceNow help? And we want you to ask your questions live. If you're watching this live, put them in the community. If you're watching it later, put them in the community. We're going to be monitoring that discussion post for quite some time, and we will be answering your questions. So if you've got something we've missed, ask away. We'll have the link. Just look for TechNow episode 27, and you'll see it. Not too early to start thinking about. Seems like we just got done with Knowledge 16, and we're already starting to plan for Knowledge 17. Save the date. Get it in your budgets now. You know how budgets work at organizations. You got to plan like a year in advance or more. So stick a bug in your boss's ear. There's hints on the site, knowledge.servicenow.com, how you can do that. It was a great time. Dave, did you have a lot of fun in Knowledge?
I had an enormous amount of fun at Knowledge, and if there's a reason why it seems like Knowledge just ended, because it really did literally just end last week for us, since we had to do some Knowledge makeup stuff. So
it's still going. We have to do virtual lives.
It really never stopped. By the way, it gave me your business card. I'm still going to mail you. I haven't mailed the people from my stack of business cards yet, so it's still not done, even after that. So it continues.
Pradeep, you were there.
Yeah, I was there. This was my second knowledge conference, and it was very fun and very great to meet all our customers, partners. So I can't wait for Knowledge 17.
It was very informative, very educational. We had a bigger crowd, lots more opportunities, lots of innovation going on. Man, I can't tell you. It's gotten to the point where I wish I could see part of it. It's not even like, oh, I want to go to all the sessions. It's crazy insane. So May 7th through 12th in Orange County Convention Center. Go to knowledge.servicenow.com to learn more. Commercial over. All right, we're going to be dividing this up into a discussion. We're going to start on requester tips. So if you're a requester looking for help on the community, that's what we're going to focus on first, and that's the bulk of the content. And then some hints and tips and tricks for the experts. It's not just the Pradeep and Chuck show out there anymore. There are a lot of smart people. There are a lot of people, and a lot of people that are just getting started that know the answers. I'm surprised how many people I'm hearing from for the first time going, wow, that was an excellent answer. I learned something. I learn something every day. I don't know about you guys, but every day I'm on the community, I learn at least one thing. Sometimes it's two. And I feel sort of embarrassed sometimes because people say, well, that feature's been in the product for 3 years. Well, learn that one.
Yeah.
I've learned to not get embarrassed by that, because there is so much. I mean, that's part of the value that we're talking about here. There's so much that people who have been working on it for years and years and years find new tips every single day. That's kind of where the value of the group mind from the community really comes from.
Yeah, it really is a hive mind, and we'll give you some reference information at the end. So let me break out of the screen sharing thing. This is where we start to demo and discuss. Pradeep, tell us, just give the, while I'm switching screens, give the viewer an introduction to what the ServiceNow community is and what is your history on the community.
Sure, Chuck. So the ServiceNow community is a platform to ask any questions of ServiceNow product. On the community, we have customers, partners, and employees to connect and share their knowledge of ServiceNow. So if you're the one who has got many questions on ServiceNow product and do not want to file an incident with Hi, then this is the right place to post your questions. And personally, I have been on ServiceNow community since 2012 while I was working as partner with ServiceNow. I've been on this platform very active, and now the people have started questioning me whether I'm sleeping or not. So it's been fun on answering all those questions. So this is a place on the community where you can post your questions, and we have a lot of experts who are trying to help those queries.
Now, I see from the video your title is Application Developer. What part of the application are you developing? Because we've gone into the whole business unit and lots of product lines thing as we grow and expand. What is your focus?
So currently at ServiceNow, I'm trying to help our customers who are trying to develop the scoped application on store. So I'm also involved with part of the certification. So my job is to make sure all the apps which are developed are good from the security side and it's good from the performance side. So I'm involved from the time it is developed until it is published on the store.
Now, I'm going to keep drilling on you. I want to know you a little bit more and help the viewer watch know a little bit more. How did you're answering so many questions. How did you get that experience?
Well, so I started on ServiceNow 5 years back. I mean, this was my first, so when I got my graduation, I got started with my experience as in ServiceNow platform.
Mm-hmm.
And for any questions, I used to come to community, and I used to see a lot of great experts, including you, Mark, or Robert. So I used to see your questions and the response. So it has been very helpful, and that's where I decided, like, I have to be little helpful on contributing there, and that's where I started my journey. And it's been like 5 years. I've responded to a lot of questions, and I'm learning something new every day. So it's been very fun and exciting to be on the community. And the great part I feel is like you have to got connected with a lot of new peoples that you got to know each other. So yeah.
So Pradeep, did you get recruited from your activity on the community? Is that how you got on the radar of ServiceNow?
So sort of, yes. It's been very helpful. Like when I was doing my interview, it's always good that I used to mention that, you know, I've got this many points and I've been helping to a lot of people on the community. So it's always the plus point on your resume. So it's been like very helpful. Yeah.
I know before we did gamification, that was always one of the factors is who are the active participants. I don't know if it was a community back then or the forums, but it was, there are a number of people who said, hey, if you've answered 100 questions, you're a candidate. All right. Can you, I'm going to turn screen control over to you. Can you give the viewer just a quick tour of the community if people aren't familiar with it? And maybe those who are familiar, show them a few tips and tricks they may not know or help them be more effective.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and walk you through ServiceNow community platform. I'm going to do screen sharing.
I'll let you know when we see your screen.
Sure.
You know where the screen sharing thing is?
Yeah, so let me do desktop, start screen sharing. Yeah.
There
So,
we go. Excellent.
sure. Perfect. So to get to the community platform, the URL is community.servicenow.com. So once you register successfully, you can log into this site. So I'm going to quickly log in.
And there we are.
Yeah.
Look at that. 89,000 points.
89,188. Still counting. And
the gap is closing.
Chuck is close to 38 and is giving very tough competition to me. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you how you can search for an existing content on community and how you can post your questions. So search on the community can be done in many ways. So I'm going to show you the I'm going to show you the search on the top homepage. So this is the so if you are searching for any existing content, you can click on this search, and I can type in, for example, business rule.
Oh, that'll come up with a million hits.
Yeah, so this is going to display
right here. This is important because it's not just showing you the search results from the search, but it's also showing you people who have posted about that and places. So if you're looking for something on, say, Discovery or ITOM, those places will show up. Performance analytics. There are sub-communities within the community that are worth noting because you want your question or issue presented to the widest possible audience. A lot of stuff ends up in developer communities sort of as a default, but they're asking really about performance analytics. So getting it in the right place is equally as important as just getting it in there.
Yeah, that's correct, Chuck. So this is going to display the possible answers based on the matching keywords. It's going to display all the content. So if you do not find something helpful over here, you can even search based on the spaces. So you can go to the space where your question would have most likely been asked. So for an example, I can go to the scripting spaces, and I can search for an example like client script. And now this is going to filter all the questions which have been posted in this specific subspace on the scripting. So this is the other way that you can search on for an existing content on community.
And those icons are important as well because the green check marks means it was answered. I'm more likely to go look at an article, discussion, a topic that has a green check mark because I know somebody's got an answer. So as you get your solutions, let's say I post something out there about client scripts and somebody answers it, don't forget to go back and mark it as a correct answer because that helps others find it quickly and easily in the future. Especially if the discussion thread gets really long and the answer is buried down deep in there somewhere, it percolates right to the top and says, this was the correct answer for that discussion, which I just love.
Yeah, so even it's a good to mark this as an helpful if something you find on searching existing content. So you can just click on this yes button, and this would help build our search more powerful on the community. And it is always a good to mark it as an helpful or like if you have found something helpful for an existing content.
Mm-hmm.
And the third way I can show you how you can search for your existing content is you can go to the main homepage and you can start typing your question over here. So Chuck, do you have got any question that I can search for?
Business rules, best practices.
Okay.
Seems to be a popular topic.
Yeah. So you can say this this will give me all the display possible answers based on the matching keywords. And this would not show all the content. It's going to show all the questions. Whereas we have seen on this search where it was displaying all the content, it will show you all the blog posts, all the questions, and all the events. Whereas this search on the main homepage is going to only display you the questions which has been posted.
Oh, there's a lab or something in there too about the third entry down. Well, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You might have access to places that.
Right. I think that's because Pradeep is an employee.
Don't look at that third one down.
Okay, so if you still cannot find the answer, here is the trick that you can start asking your question on community. So I'm going to quickly post my first question on community. So I have been answering many questions, but I have never posted, so I'm going to try with one. So
And I love how everything sticks around here forever. There are questions that I asked in 2008, 2009 that keep coming up. There are blog posts that I did in 2011 that get comments and likes. And I'm surprised this stuff is out there and that the content is still effective and helpful to people. That's amazing.
yeah. So I'm going to quickly create a question. So you can, so if something for the existing content doesn't help you get your question, so you can start posting it. So I'm going to click on the ask button. So this way I can start the discussion on community. So before to this, like make sure you post it in the right space. So now this is related to the notification. Then I'm going to post it in the notification subspace. So I'm going to click on this. And this is one of the thing I want to highlight. Most of the times I see the questions are posted in the wrong space. So for an example, notifications are posted in the project portfolio management. So posting in the right space is always the best practice. So you get the right expert on to get it notified, and they can help you out quickly. So I'm going to post it on the notification subspace. So this is going to be my title. And now I'm going to give a little description about this.
So that's how we end up with some subject lines that are 3 and 4 lines long. Somebody's typing in a really long question in that box. So if you have done that, make sure you summarize it in that top line. It's more like a subject or a short description line. I've seen some on the community that are really long.
So that's always a good point to structure your question in best possible way. So as Chuck mentioned, like we have seen questions which are just posted as in title and they miss the description, and it's very hard for an expert to answer those questions. So it's always good to give a good title and the enough description so that the experts can answer it as quickly as possible. So I'm going to give a little description on this. I have created a notification on my custom table. And
this is where we insert music while Pradeep is typing, right? You're supposed to have something already typed out so you can copy and paste this.
Yeah.
The exciting part of the video where you fast forward.
So it's good to give the screenshots. So I'm going to quickly insert the screenshot.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, screenshots, the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words, is invaluable here. There are often things on the screen. Somebody will, I saw this numerous times in the last few weeks. My script isn't working, and the script is syntactically right. You can copy and paste it into script's background, and it works. It's just there's a checkbox on the form that we may have missed, or a condition filter that's preventing it that we don't see because everybody's focused on that script. So include as much helpful information that you may not think is pertinent at the moment, but it could give us a context of what we're working on. It could be the wrong table. It could be the wrong, advanced isn't checked, whatever it happens to be. So yeah, very helpful with screenshots.
Yeah, I mean that's really helpful. So screenshots are always helpful, and even we have like seen few questions where it's mentioned that something is not working for them, and we do not have an ability to hop to their instances. So having the screenshot would give us a quick overview of like what's going on in your instance. So it's always helpful to have the screenshots. So I'm going to pose this question, and one of the things that I want to highlight is this. Right now I'm posting this as a question and it's not a discussion. So the benefit of posting this as a question over the discussion is that you get the ability to mark it correct and helpful, so that if someone is searching for this content on community, they can sort by the correct answers. So it's always the good practice that if you have got a question, make sure you create this as a question rather than discussion. So I'm going to quickly click on post, and I'm going to track who is going to respond to this question.
I'm doing a refresh because I have a sneaky suspicion that this system is not in real time. Oh, look, my notification on custom table is not working. So, yeah. My usual Chuck fashion, I'm going to jump on that first.
So I'm going to see who is going to respond to my first question on community.
Yeah.
Are we racing? To see who can reply faster.
and they're gonna get 30,000 points.
I need them way worse than needed a review.
Okay.
Okay.
It's been responded.
Oh, is it?
You have your first response.
Let me quickly refresh my page, and I can click on this notification. So I see that Chuck has responded to my question. Chuck, you are so fast.
Now, where did you mark that as correct? I was looking for that earlier.
Okay, so now I have got the response, and you see one of the correct answer button. So it's always good that once your question is responded, you click on this response. So it's going to help the right expert to get the correct points, and it's also going to help someone who is searching for this content, because the correct answers has been very helpful for those who are searching for the similar content. So I'm going to click on this, and Chuck gets 40 points.
Ooh.
I can actually see that being like a little bit of a stumbling block, because like when you first looked at that, when you first brought it up, it wasn't obvious to me that that was the button you clicked to make that happen. It actually looked as if it was saying that it was the correct answer.
Right, because there's other places for like and helpful on the bottom. If we can, I'd like to see that moved so that it's near those things. But anyway, is what it is at the moment. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah. So if, for example, Dave is searching for this content and in the future, and if he finds this to be helpful information, so it's always great to mark this as unhelpful, and Dave can even click on like. So, and now we have a new feature called endorsement. So our MVPs who has been recognized by ServiceNow community, they can they can endorse this content. So it's kind of a stamp of approval from our MVPs who has been recognized.
Yeah, and it comes up with an endorsement tag that looks like it's a new post, so I always get confused by that. What are some of the tips that others may use that may not use on a regular basis? So, see, I see bookmark on the side. So if you found this very useful, whether it's a blog or a discussion or something else, you can bookmark that and come back to it later. But show them where those bookmarks are buried, Pradeep, because I don't think that was very obvious the first time I used this.
Yeah, so bookmark is a great way to save useful content on community. So I can go to blogs under the experts tab, and I can browse through many blogs. And for example, I'm gonna pick on this. So now if I find this to be useful or helpful, I can bookmark so that I can refer to this on the later part. And as an expert, I always make this as an habit. So if I bookmark it, and if I see any questions on community, I can refer this with this blog post. So I'm gonna bookmark this. So I'm now going to show you how you can see what all bookmarks that you have bookmarked. So I can click on view my profile.
Ah, you know a shortcut I didn't use. Oh, same place. Okay,
so
we're getting there different ways.
Now I'm going to click on bookmarks under more tab, and this will show you all the bookmarks that you have.
Right, along with how many other people have commented, bookmarked, and there's a lot of information on that screen as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the shortcut if you have to go through all the bookmarks you have bookmarked. So this is the shortcuts that you can refer on the community. And now I'm going to quickly show you how you can follow an expert on the community. So I'm going to search for any expert. I think, Chuck, I'm already following you. Let me see.
You better.
How about Dave?
Mr. Slusher? There's two of you out there.
So, so you can follow any expert on community by going to their profile and click on the follow button. And once you click on that, it asks for an awaiting approval from the expert. So Dave has to approve that request. And ideally, once he approves, you can see the message button. But in my case, I'm saying because I think Dave is already following me.
So does it have to go both ways? Because if you're following Dave, you can't automatically send him a message unless he's following you. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's correct. So Dave has to approve my request first, and then I can chat with Dave by clicking on this message button.
There's another place where you can do that too. If you click on your little red icon that up by the house.
This one?
Yep. seems to be. I'm almost living in this list of stuff. There's a send message right at the top center of that list.
Yeah, this is
have to
one way
know
to.
their username, or I guess you can look it up. I just have to remember to type Pradeep K. Sharma. And you can have private messages offline. So if you wanted to give somebody your instance ID or ask them private information, it doesn't have to go into the community. You can ask it. This is just a direct message to them, and they'll see the little red icon light up next to the house.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip, Chuck. So I have seen like on few questions that the username and the password of the instances are shared. So the best way you can connect with an expert and share via this messaging platform.
Is that the only benefit of following somebody and them following you? Or do you know of others?
So there are other benefits that I can message to any experts if I've got many questions instead of posting on the community.
But it's really all about the private messaging, correct?
Yes, exactly. That's correct. So I would not recommend to post a question over here, because if you post on the community, you will see there are a lot of, you're indirectly helping to a lot of other requesters who has got the similar issue. So
right.
Yeah, it is always recommended to post your question on the main platform instead of messaging to the expert.
Yeah, don't direct message me because I always miss the obvious easy answers. I'll write you a big long script include to solve your problem when it turns out you can right click on something.
Yeah. So and once the if you're following someone and if it's gonna be accepted, you're gonna get that notification. So I think Dave has accepted my invite.
There you go.
So now it says you're now following Dave Slusher.
Nice.
And if you can see there are notifications for an endorsement. So right now I can see I've been endorsed by Lisa on one of my replied. So it is always being notified if you have been endorsed for any content.
That's awesome.
So now I'm going to show you how you can endorse experts on the community. So I can go to Jack. Let's go to Jack's profile.
We'll have his avatar.
So you can endorse, it pretty much works like on LinkedIn. So you can endorse for any skill. So I'm going to click on endorse.
Now you have to be, at this point, you have to be an MVP to endorse, correct?
I think anyone on the ServiceNow community platform should be able to endorse. But
I don't think it's open yet as of this recording. It may change after a while, but I think currently it's still MVPs.
Oh, is it? Okay.
What I heard from Dan last week.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not really sure about it, but
okay.
So if you are an MVP, then you can click on this endorse button to endorse an expert. So I'm gonna give ServiceNow, and I can click on endorse.
All right.
So Jack has to approve this request if he has to show show in one of his profile. So this is how you can endorse the skill sets on community.
Oh, okay, okay. This is kind of like the LinkedIn endorsements. I was thinking you were endorsing one of his articles, like Lisa endorsed yours. So this is different.
Yeah, this is different.
Ah, okay. See, you learn something new every day.
And now I'm going to quickly show you how you can follow the space. So I'm going to main homepage.
Yeah, and this is kind of cool because if you've got a snug in your area, you'll want to follow one of those snugs, and it's very easy. And in fact, you can follow it in different places. I was missing the Arizona user group meeting announcements all the time until I remembered to check the mailbox one. It says, stick it in my inbox. So I get a little red icon lit up whenever there's a new or updated announcement for that.
So I'm going to quickly show you how you can follow a space. So if I'm has a requester more, I'm going to see on the scripting. And if I want to track all the questions posted in the scripting space, I can click on this follow button. So this way, all the questions posted in this specific subspace will trigger notification to you.
Are you following many spaces at this point? Do you find that effective, or is the amount of things you're following, does that start to clutter up your inbox? I'm just wondering what the best case is here.
So honestly, I keep open my community all 24/7, I'm going to click on my home page, and I refresh this every 5 minutes, and I'm going to see all the questions.
Okay.
But this is helpful for someone who just want to track the questions on scripting. So we have got any expert who is just want to help for the scripting subspace, so they can click on that follow button so that they can follow those questions. So
Okay.
I'm interested in all the questions. So I'm gonna click on this homepage and gonna refresh and
I
answer
agree.
this.
I'm watching as many things as possible. I can't always help, and I'm not the expert on security management but everybody's got their expertise and even their secondaries that are helpful. Anything else you want to show us real quick that may or may not? Oh, the filter, where it says filter all. Right now it's showing you
Yes.
all articles, including things that have already been answered.
Yes, so this is the next thing I'm going to cover. So you can click on main homepage and you can filter the discussion. So right now it shows all. I can filter it based on the discussion, based on the product issues. So if I click on this, it will show me all the questions which are marked as on discussion, or if I want to see for the product issues.
Mm-hmm.
So this will filter all the questions which are marked as a product defect. So I'll see all the questions related to that.
That's what the exclamation point means. Learn two things.
Okay. So I'm going to quickly recap on what we have covered so far. So we have seen how we can search for an existing content,
Mm-hmm.
and how we can post the question on community, and how we can bookmark the blogs, and how we can follow an expert, and how we can endorse an experts on the community.
And I can't stress enough how valuable the search is. I don't know about you, but probably half, if not more, of all the questions I see on there, I search for and I find the answer for somebody. It's almost like, here, let me Google that for you.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree with you, Chuck. So search is really important, and you'll see most of the questions I have answered would be to one of my thread where I have already answered, or it would be the link to one of the product documentation.
Right.
So I always recommend searching for an existing content before anyone posts the question on community. Most of the times you'll find with the product documentation or with one of the content that's already been posted on community.
Dave, you look like you have a question on your face.
So do all these questions get answered, Pradeep?
So, well, most of the questions are answered on community, and I would like to thank all our experts, our customers who is participating and helping with those questions. And one of the things I like about the community is it's 24/7. And the reason I'm saying, because you'll see the questions are answered across the globe by all the time. And myself and Chuck has been very active. Like recently, we have been answering. So Chuck gets up early morning and he's responding to all the questions, and I'm taking care in the late night. So you're gonna see like all the experts, all our MVPs, they're gonna help out all the questions and across the time zone. So yes, it's most of the questions are answered, Dave.
Yeah, and on the weekends, we're like two dogs wrestling over a bone. It's pretty sad. It really is.
And I think the average response rate what we have today is of 4 hours, but most of the questions get answered within fraction of seconds. So we have a good average rate as of now today.
Oh, by the way, you're still sharing your screen, Pradeep. We're gonna go to the live fire question and answer. Time to play Stump the Chump. Okay, so I've got a question. We're using the community for a lot of incident deflection to high is one of its main impacts. How should customers decide when they should post a question to the community or open a high ticket? I'll let you finish flipping around with your.
So that's a good question, Chuck. So for those who are new to ServiceNow, let me tell you what is high. So high is an customer support platform to submit an incident with ServiceNow. So if you have got an outages or any issues related to your productions, it's more likely to be a priority issue. So you should always go ahead and create an incident on ServiceNow high. And for any other questions, like if you've got for technical best practices, or if you have got any issues during your development, or you've got questions related to your certification, you should always post it on community. And one more thing I'd like to also add is that the personal developer instances which are provided as part of developers program. That is something is not supported by Hive.
Good point.
So Hive is on customer support focus. So for any issues related to your personal developer instance, you should always post an instance-based section on community.
Yeah, there's one called Instance Help. Is that the best place for the developer instances?
Yes, I'm going to go to instance help space section.
There it is.
Yeah. So all the questions related to your personal developer instance should go to this space.
And Dave just wrote a really
that is
good
actually
article about
the
hybrid
space for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can on the developer site. You can. There's a place where you can. There is a feedback mechanism on the developer site, and frequently people ask their questions there. But you're going to get a faster time to resolution. If you have a timely issue with your instance, putting it there in the community is always going to give you a faster solution, because a small handful of people look at the one inbox versus not only are there employees whose job it is to monitor that space, but then you actually have other people monitoring it as well. So you can get the group mind effect. So you will always get a faster turnaround if you have some problem with your instance, asking it on the community.
Good point. I think the next question is yours, Dave.
So if people are looking for help, what are some tips you can offer? Like, if you're trying to figure out what you want to do on the community, what kind of tips can you give people?
So sure. So I think personally, I have seen on community there are like few questions which are framed poorly, and there are like few questions which do not have enough details to solve the problem. So I would recommend I would recommend that if you want to get your questions get your question answered as quickly as possible, make sure you include the details like what version of ServiceNow you're using, and it's always good to include what UI you're using. Is it like UI 16, UI 15, or UI 11? Because the answers to those questions are going to be different on what level of UI version you're using. So it is always good to have the screenshots. It's good to have the UI information. It's always good to have the version. So this will help for an expert to troubleshoot and get the answer quickly as possible. Chuck, you have got something to add to that?
No, it seems like we either get two ends of the spectrum. I wouldn't say always. There's a common scenario where somebody will put in a lot of information, and if you go too deep into that, it's almost counterproductive. Here's a 1,000-line script included, and oh, by the way, I'm new to ServiceNow, probably isn't going to get garner a real good response, because somebody knows this is going to go for a long time, and maybe education or professional services is a better way to go. On the other end of the spectrum, we've seen 4 words strung together that don't form a question or a sentence. That the next question is obviously, can you help elaborate on what it is you're trying to do or the problem you're having? So we have to go back and forth to really find out what the root cause is. I saw two come in on Monday, I believe it was, and the guy was just testing. It was a question about workflow, and all it said was, work. Is there a question in here somewhere, sir? And he said, no, I'm just testing. Okay, well, you can delete a post, you know.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead.
No, never mind. Go ahead.
So here are the few tips that I would provide to get your question answered. So it's always good to structure your question in best possible way, and make sure you provide enough description. So as Chuck mentioned, we have seen few questions which are framed poorly, and we have to go back and forth asking them to provide more information. So it's always good to have the information upfront available to an expert. And it's good to have the screenshots. So screenshots are always helpful because so in my example, I have posted my question with a screenshot. So it gives the clarity on what is not working, and because we cannot hop to their instances, so it gives us the virtual information on what's going on their instance. So screenshots are always helpful. And I'd also say reference to the product documentation. So if you have any questions, and if you have been through already through our product documentation or through any of the thread, then it is always good to mention in those questions, so that we upfront know that this was something that you have already referred and it was not much helpful to you, and we can come up with the new content or we can come up with the new answer. So referencing to the product documentation is always a good idea. And last but not the least, I would like to highlight that post your question in the right space, because if you post in the wrong space, you may not be getting the response very quickly. And sometimes there is no response to the questions which are posted in the wrong space. So it is always good to post in the right space to get it answered as quickly as possible. So having all those information will dramatically increase your chances of getting question answered.
And search, search, search.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take a question from the community. Should I repost my question if I don't get a reply? Let's say I put it out there, and when is a fair time to repost or maybe put it in another section? What are your thoughts on that?
No, do not repost your questions. So here is the reason why. If you're going to repost your questions in the multiple spaces, it's going to be very confusing for an expert who is trying to help answer your questions. So I would not ever recommend to repost your questions. So if there's a few questions which do not get, I mean, there are a few questions which gets missed. So it's always to tag one of the experts so that it comes to their radar. So
that's
it's always.
A good point. Yeah, you could do an mention of Pradeep or Chuck, and we'll see it, or find someone who can see it.
Yeah, so it's always good to mention at and tag one of the right experts. And if you post it on the multiple space, it's even going to be very difficult for you to track which is the right response, or because it leads to many discussions. So I would not recommend to repost your questions in multiple spaces.
I'm not advocating that everybody post with Pradeep and Chuck's tag in every post, by the way. That's a special circumstance.
That is something that can be abused. We have one community member who I think, as a regular matter of course, tags a set of people that they want to come answer the question, and
right.
That's shall we say, not a scalable solution.
I think I'm going to get an obligatory IDK macro. I just don't know.
So yeah, I think Dave has mentioned a good point. It is not always a good practice to tag every time. So if you have got a few questions and you think this has not been very helpful from a long time and it's no one is responding, so then it's a good idea to tag one of the experts, right experts, so that it comes to their radar.
Yeah, I think it should be maybe a tool you use later on. It may not be the place you start, right?
Exactly. Good point.
Yes.
So Pradeep, if the person is to ask for help and they get their question answered, what do they do going forward from there?
Yeah, so to be good members of the community, here are the few things that I would mention that you have to do once your question has been answered. So the first thing that you're gonna give is give the right credit to the expert who has helped you. So I'm quickly gonna share my screen.
You already are.
Oh, I'm already sharing. Okay, so we have covered like how we can mark the right correct response. So it's always good to mark the correct response once your query is resolved, so that it will give the right credit to the expert. And it also helps on the searchability of this question. So if someone in the future is referencing to this question, it will help if it is marked as a correct response. So this is one thing that you have to do. And if you are searching for any existing content, it is always good idea to mark it as an helpful. And we also have the like feature on community, so you can mark it as an helpful and like.
Oh, so, look at that. We got called out by Lisa. We should be adding tags to help find content faster.
Oh, 30,000. Yeah, so these are the few tips that I would recommend for end requesters who have posted the question. So it's always good to mark the response as correct and close the discussion.
So, Pradeep, just to back up 1 second, is that something you can demonstrate right there? Is adding? I don't remember if you can do it after it's been.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You can mark things helpful. You can like them later.
Well, let's go ahead and add the. Can you add a tag to this?
Oh, can you add a tag?
I think yes, I can add. So I'm gonna do notification.
Are you using the hashtag? Because I never do. I think tags are standalone, like they are in ServiceNow platform. Interesting.
give email notification, and I can update the tags.
Woohoo!
So this is
Tagging.
yeah, this is the right way to tag to your question. So even when you post your question, there's a little tag string where you can type all the tags. So even you can update it later on. And so once your question has been answered, you can see that it will show with the correct response. And even if it is marked as unhelpful or endorsed, it will show all the notifications on your question.
Oh, it should be noted that you don't get points on your own articles and responses either. If you tag it helpful, if you tag your own helpful, you don't get points. Otherwise, people would be gaming the system. All right, we have another one from the community. How can you turn your solution into community content? So let's say you've got a good solution and you think, this is really good. I should share this with others so they don't have to search so hard for it.
So I have to accept I'm not that great at blogging, and I think Dave and Chuck, you have done a lot of good blog posts. So
Yeah.
I'm going to turn out to you to give them more information so that it's helpful to other
You
users.
go first?
So blogging is not quite as open as some venues of creating content on there. So there are community blogs. There are employees who are enabled to blog, but it's not a wide open space. But if you are somebody who has a blog, you can in fact. I don't believe that there's a shortcut. There's not a syntactic shortcut like a turn this post into it, but it's not a bad idea if you've got a, like I'm actually in this situation quite frequently where I might be in have a thing where I have to decide, is this a community post or is this a blog post, right? I have to make that decision kind of almost every time I post to the community because I do both. And what I tend to think of is I tend to make it a blog post if I think it's something that would be usable as reference going forward into the future.
Exactly.
That is more or less the standard I use. That if it's timely, or it's if it's something tactical, then I make a community post. If it's something where I'm capturing resources, I'm capturing information that I intend to live on for some time, then that's when I make it a blog post.
I'd say that's a good guideline. As you mentioned, not everybody's got the ability to make a blog post, and if you're interested in that, certainly reach out to one of us or community@servicenow.com, and we'll see if we can get you set up with that. It also takes a lot more time to write a blog post, so you've got to craft it and proofread it, make sure all the scripts you're including work. I often look for patterns in the community that I found that I think will be helpful. I took 4 different solutions about a week and a half ago and threw together a video and put that on. I said, watch how I debug. This is how you can use scripts background effectively. This is just 4 or 5 things that kept recurring over and over in the community, and now I can reference that when somebody comes up with one of those 4 situations. That this video might be helpful. It's 12 minutes long, and you might enjoy it. So that's always good to reference. There's also documents. You can create a document if you don't have the ability to do that. Everybody's got the ability to create a document and post that, and people will see that as well. So it's not just either or a discussion or a blog post, but there are documents that you can create as well that are very helpful, and you can get the content going there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have another question, Dave?
Well, I was going to say, and it is explicitly part of my job writing blog posts, right? And this dichotomy that we're talking about actually, in some ways, kind of slows me down from writing blog posts. Partly because I feel, I don't know if other people who do the blogs on the community feel like this, but I always want to make sure that they're just the absolute best stuff.
Yes.
And so there's I put lots of screenshots, and so it really takes kind of you would see a blog post and it might be 500 or 800 words long, and that might take me half a day to get that thing written. It doesn't seem like it would be that burdensome, but there's a lot of labor that goes in those because it's really writing for the future.
Videos take about the same amount of time.
I know.
It's easier to consume, but everybody says, hey, can you put the script that you used in your video? Yes, we'll attach the XML for an update set, or a zip file with a text file script inside it. All right, we've got just a few minutes left, Pradeep. I'm going to flip the tables.
So, Chuck and Dave, I have got a question. So, can we share the blog post through different channels? Can I share through Twitter, or if you have created a blog post on community?
Yes, please do. Absolutely. I mean, once you do that, you'll basically have a permalink, right? You see it up on the top, and you can use that link, and you can just share it that way. And in fact, not only should you, but please do. Go find some of mine and share them, because that does nothing but is beneficial. And again, that's another reason for us wanting to share the reference type materials as blog posts, for precisely that reason. You know, they're kind of intended to be funnels to receive traffic, right? That's exactly what we want them to do.
All right, Pradeep, you've got the most points, so you must be doing something right. What are the tips you've got for the experts as they're answering the questions? How to be more effective? It's probably good that you're still sharing your screen at this point.
So here are the few things that I've done that I found is more efficient. So I filter on the unreplied questions first. So I go to the main home page, and you see the filter. I can click on unreplied. So this is how I start my day responding to the questions on community. I click on the unreplied ones, and I'm going to respond to the one which I have right expertise on. So once I'm done with this, then I'm going to switch to those questions that I think I can help, which I'm not much familiar, but I think I can help with those questions. So one of the tip that I want to give to all the experts, that if you are helping to any thread, make sure you follow up with those threads, because few of them gonna require follow up, and that you're gonna do the it's kind of back and forth discussion. So it's always a good idea to follow up with those threads until it is closed.
Right.
So
now, here's something that I didn't recognize right away. You see where it says replies and votes on the right side of that list? Replies, I think we all know what they are. It's when somebody replies back to that discussion. Votes are when somebody opens that up and there's a link right underneath the header that says, I have the same question. That's a vote.
Yes, correct.
And if I throw my hat in there and I say, I have the same question too, how do you do X? I can still follow along with the discussion without being part of that discussion. I get the notifications that's even though I don't have anything to contribute initially, I might later and say, well, I tried that, it didn't work on my system. Or, hey, thanks for that, it worked for me too. You can sort of pseudo-endorse those. So I didn't really quite get what the votes were all about initially.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Chuck. So one more thing that I would like to highlight is it's always a good practice to bookmark the blogs. So for me, it has been very helpful if I see any questions, so I can reference to those bookmarks which I think can help those questions. So it's always great idea to bookmark the blogs. And as an expert, if you post any script, it is a good idea to mention or alert to the user that it is untested, if it is, so that it gets them the more round of testing. And so it's good to mention that it is an untested script if you're posting or if you're responding to one of the script questions.
And that being said, about the scripts, I often put scripts as solutions because there's a lot of scripting questions out there. And if I put it's untested or you adjust table names and field names as necessary, please don't expect everything that you copy and paste from the community to work instantaneously on your system. You have to do some system analysis a bit and some adjustments where necessary. Keep that in mind, because it may not work in your instance if your table names are different, if your field names are different, if you've got a property that needs to be created before it works. We're offering solutions, but it may not be 100% professional services, which is a tip for the experts also.
Yeah, and one more tip I would like to share is that if you're posting any script, it's always good to use the advanced editor. So I'm going to click on this advanced editor button, and I can click on this small icon, click on syntax highlighting.
Yep.
And from here, I can select the JavaScript, so that if you have got any questions where you're responding with the script, it is always good to use the advanced editor instead of pasting it in the plain format.
Do you find it easier to paste the script in and then highlight and turn it into JavaScript advanced editor, or do you? Because I've had issues with this editors both ways.
Yeah, it has been working for me, so I think,
Okay.
yeah. And one more thing I would like to highlight is that there are few threats which goes outside of our scope. So for those that I respond that they should go to high to submit the ticket, or there are few implementations questions that I defer them to the professional services. So it's always good to defer them to the professional services or to our customer support if that goes outside of your scope.
Yeah, if you get it for the experts, if you're getting down into a big discussion about processes and big large workflows, probably there are limitations to what we can address on the community. You know, we've got screenshots, we've got scripts, we've got a limited interaction, but obviously we can't see what's on your screen or get into your instance, which is where a lot of questions need to be answered, especially the ones around design questions. You know, what's the best practice for doing X? Well, you're going to get a lot of opinions and maybe some expertise and experience with that, but not everything can be answered here, as we alluded to before. Don't be afraid to defer to PS, either ServiceNow or one of our wonderful partners, or in some cases, hey, I think you're going to have to open up a high ticket. You may have found a legitimate issue, or they have to log into your system to reset or do something for you. So, good point. Good point.
So on those lines, I would also recommend that if you have gone through the customer support, or if you have posted it on, if you have created the high ticket, then it is always good to share your solution so that someone with the similar issue can find it to be helpful in the future. So share your solutions. It's always good practice.
Good point.
All right, Pradeep. So as we wind this down, how would you encourage community members to participate?
So for those who are new to the community platform, I would encourage them to go through all the existing content, go through the bookmarks, go through the product documentation, and to get started, they can start with the questions that they are familiar with, so that they get more familiar about the community platform. And as in when they respond to those questions, and if they are marked as correct or helpful, so they can build up their expertise. And that's how I started 5 years back. So for each questions which are marked as incorrect, you're gonna get 40 points, I think. So you can see, Dave, here's the point system that has been built up on the community platform, and we have got few badges. So I'm gonna click on the
You get a badge for going to Knowledge 16, Dave.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to click on top contribution program. So we have got few badges which are offered as part of the ServiceNow community recognition program. So based on your individual eligibility, and you will also see there are few benefits on each badges. So right now we have MVPs. So there are few criteria that you have to establish yourself to get one of these badges.
I put in all this work and now I find out I can't be an MVP.
Yeah, unfortunately, employees are not eligible to participate in MVP program.
Good for the customers, bad for me.
Yeah. So,
all right, okay. So Pradeep, what are some of your do's and don'ts on the community?
So I would say be nice, be friendly, be polite, and make sure that you avoid posting same question every time. So, and it is always great to create new thread for your each question. So we have seen few questions which are posted with the 10 or 12 questions in the one thread. So it's always good to create multiple threads for each discussion rather than posting it on the same thread. So yeah. So Chuck, do you have got any thing to add to this?
No, I agree with everything you've said.
There is only one correct answer that can exist for any given post, right? You cannot mark multiple replies as correct answers.
There may be multiple ways to do to a solution. I may do something with a UI policy, and you may do it with a client script. It doesn't say one is right and one is wrong, but there can only be one marked correct.
Right. Which is the problem if you have multiple questions, is you can't, if you have 10 different posts that answered one of your sub-questions, you're going to have one correct answer for the post. So
mark the correctest one? Is that what you're asking?
Right. You've now said 9 people are going to get shafted on that.
Right.
Well, they are all answering.
That could be marked as helpful. which contributes to that. What was the other thing I was going to say? Forget it. We'll move on. All right, here's a guilty pleasure I want to just wrap up with. You've done a wonderful job, Pradeep. But before we go, this is for you, me, and Dave. What are you guilty of doing on the community? What's your?
So I'm going to go first. So sleeping late, getting up early. So yeah, these are the guilty part that I feel. But I think it's worth that. It's because I'm trying to help others. So
I can vouch for that because I've seen your posts at 2 a.m. Pacific time, and then you're up at 6 a.m. So I know some nights you're getting 4 hours or less. Just to be part of this community is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. So Dave, what's your guilty part?
Well, I have the opposite problem as you guys because I'm not on the community enough. A lot of times it kind of a lot of times tends to be the thing I want to do, but I'm not spending enough time on. So
your guilty thing is you're guilty of your points not representing your experience and seniority. That's what I fell into, and that's what got me motivated a few months ago. So I've been on this platform for almost 8 years, and I've got 2,500 points. I'm going to fix that.
Yeah, definitely. I need to spend more time. I've actually taken to blocking out some community time on my calendar, so no one can have that. That's my time, and the community time.
I've got a couple. I'm guilty of being too competitive and analytical. I know on almost a minute-by-minute basis how many points Pradeep has and how many I have, and a target date of when we will intercept. And it changes on a daily basis. It changes almost on an hourly basis.
And I think I'm guilty on, you'll see most of the threads check and my response would be at the same time posted.
Yes. Yes, like I said, 2 dogs wrestling over a bone. It's that competitive. But it all works out for the... I found another one a couple of days ago. I'm also guilty of skipping over easy questions, and then I look back and go, I knew the answer to that. It's so simple. How do you add a related list? But it's the way the question is phrased. I look at it and I don't hear or read the actual question in there because it might have got lost in some sort of translation and then I come back later and I see what the correct answer was and say, really? That's it? How did I miss that? I should have got those points. But it's all in fun. We're having a good time here. All right, we are at the top of the hour. That has been one of our longer ones in a long time, and I really appreciate it, Pradeep. You've done a wonderful job. Very helpful information. And Dave, any closing comments?
Go to developer.servicenow.com for all your developer needs. We're always open. We never close.
24/7. Yes, we really have this much fun at work, and we want to remind you, community.servicenow.com is a great place to get help. Until next time, thank you, everybody. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.